All right, we're going live. I think we are
Yeah,
live.
we
All right,
are.
everyone. Hi, everyone. On as always on a Friday, Magdalena here, Hormones Balance. I have the privilege today of talking to my good friend, colleague, someone I deeply respect, Dr. Anna Cabeca, for a couple of reasons. Number one is because her book is out, The Hormone Fix, which we're gonna be posting some links. You can pre-order it right away on Amazon and get some great bonuses. So we'll pop a link in a second. And if you're watching this on replay, the link is going to be in the comments from us. And, I haven't, it was such a rush morning this morning. I didn't even prepare like official bio for you.
Oh, perfect. Good. We get to talk like girlfriends. That's what I want.
But many of you know you so well. You are an OBGYN. You are triple certified, right? Triple board certified. Many of you know you for your Julva product, which is the DHEA cream, and has saved so many women's incontinence and dryness down there. And you've had a clinic, you've worked with women for years and years and years before you sold your practice and decided to go the direction of helping more women online and through products. And so the new book is out. And hey, you guys, if you stick around, we're going to be giving away 3 of the Hormone Fix books. So this is like just the galley. So you can see like it's got a black bind here. What's the real deal? The real deal looks like this, so much better, right?
Deal. So awesome. Love her, I was so excited to receive these. I received the boxes hot off the presses.
Mine is black.
For sale. Oh yeah. I'm so excited. It's beautiful. And inside you see Magdalena's endorsement as well. Super awesome. So good to see that as well.
Together with a lot of other really important people. So today we're going to be talking about keto, because that's a big part of the book that you've put out. But before I forget my train of thought. So we're going to be giving away 3 books of the Hormone Fix. We're going to be giving away a Julva. There we go. The cream we talked about. We're going to give away Mighty Maca, which is my afternoon pick-me-up little drink. That is just beautiful. So, and we're gonna base it on your questions. And for those of you who are regular, who come often on Facebook Lives, we recognize your names. My colleague Jean is here with us. She knows many of you ladies. So we're gonna be giving away those. And let's just get started, because it really is about, I want to dive into the book. And so, let me just preface it first that I tried keto when it first became super popular, probably about 3 years ago that I embarked on it. I had a terrible reaction, got so foggy brain, got so lethargic, was really in a bad mood. It was just a disaster. I was dysfunctional for the first 3 days. And I decided not to continue because it was just, people say it's keto flu. Maybe it was, but I just felt like my body wasn't dealing with all that amount of fat. And I probably didn't do it right. And then, then I went to Facebook, and I belonged to a couple of keto groups because I like to know like what's going on, right? And I don't want to dismiss anybody, right? So I don't want to dismiss any nutritional approaches. Just because it didn't work for me, it doesn't mean it's not going to work for a lot of other women. And if you're hearing the squeaking in the background, it's because I forgot to put away the squeaker, and that's my little puppy playing. So, and so a lot of women have said that because they were losing weight, they kept going, but yet their hormones got really messed up. Women with hot flashes were reporting worse hot flashes. Women with PMSs were reporting worse PMSs. Some women's periods stopped altogether. And that's when I realized it's not a very sustainable long-term solution for whatever they were doing. But in the same groups, you were seeing photos of Kraft cheese being melted and artificial sweeteners and eating bacon all day long. And it just didn't feel like that's the way, it's a sustainable way of eating and functioning and, even being social with people. I mean, how do you go out there and just, be eating bacon all day long? So I know your approach is completely different and you call it Keto-Green, but before we dive into details, can you just maybe share what made you go in a keto direction in the first place?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Part of my personal story, stems back from early 2006 when I prematurely entered menopause post-trauma. We had a personal tragedy Magdalena, I've shared with you, and I share about this in my book, this really personal story. We lost our son in a tragic accident. And then you can imagine the trauma, the grief, the depression, all of that brought with it. And then to be added on, to have the diagnosis added on that I had early menopause at age 38. I was completely infertile. And the only option for us to have another child would be to have egg donation. And it wasn't a direction that we could do. My ovaries didn't respond to the highest doses of infertility treatments. And so that took me on this journey around the world where I really learned to use nature and food as medicine and lifestyle strategies. So was able to bring those clues, that information back into my life. And at age 41, I conceived my beautiful daughter, who was just here because they're off of school. And she's now near turning 11 next week, the same day as my book release. And I'll be turning 53 this year. So that, that was a beautiful transition out into menopause and then out of it. And then it went on, and this is what I was referring to when we started talking today, just in really uncovering this other part of the story, because then at age 48, I hit menopause again. But I'll share with you what I haven't shared is that at that time, I had been divorced in 2011, as much as we didn't want to. And I do talk about the stress and relationship connection in my book. And then my ex-husband had a traumatic brain injury in 2013. So I was a single mom with 4 kids, having terrible relationships with my teenagers post-divorce at that time. I don't know if anyone else out there can relate, but it is not fun. I used to ask them, when are you done hating me? Let me know. And they're like, Mom, I don't hate you. I'm like, it feels like you hate me. And, it was a traumatic time. So I was single mom, primary breadwinner, working on this stuff. And I closed my practice to, take care of my family and myself. Well, that took me to near bankruptcy, Magdalena. I never shared that with you, but it did. You can imagine just that transition time period. And I was in menopause again. Then I was 48, menopausal again, hadn't had a period. I experienced what so many of my patients experienced, 5, 10, 20 pounds of weight gain yet again. And despite not doing anything different, that's what my patients told me. I didn't really believe them until it happened to me. Humbled once again. And then, and so that's when I started exploring keto again, because every time I tried it with my patients or in my practice or with myself, my perimenopausal patients experienced exactly what you did. Irritability, I don't feel good. I'm hitting a wall. It just doesn't feel right. I called it going keto crazy. So I was already post-traumatic stress disorder from the grief of losing a child, and then the grief of losing a marriage. And then, just holding on to what I could hold on, closing my practice. And then the financial issue, rented out my house, downsized into a smaller townhouse, and just, was grappling. And so I tried to figure out what was going on, because I'd been over 240 pounds. I had struggled and kept that weight off. So to see it coming back up, it's like, oh man, when will it stop? It won't stop. And so I'm like, let me try keto again. But I had those keto crazies, what I call it. Not good for relationships, not good for anything. And I know I needed that brain clarity. So that's when I combined the greens, the alkalinizing factor for hormone detoxification, checking my urinary pH to make sure it's alkaline. So many people don't do that, and it's easy, inexpensive. Why not? Right. And then I combined it and I had clarity. I had, that enlightenment. And that's when, at that time, I created Julva. I turned into my online business, online programs, put Magic Menopause online, because I wanted what worked for me to work for everyone else. And that's completely helped me. That I 100% know being Keto-Green helps me stay centered and make the right decisions.
That's amazing. And so how did you figure out that the keto needs to be alkaline, like combining the keto with the alkaline element put together? Because you don't really hear about it as such. I mean, all the keto diets that are out there. First of all, I'm going to say this. A lot of the keto research that is being brought forward to the table is done on either people with men who are in their 20s and 30s hormonally completely different from us perimenopausal, menopausal ladies, or anybody who is above 35, and they don't menstruate, period. I mean, they're always going to be different, right? And then,
always, right?
Right. And then keto obviously got a huge thing with people with seizures, right? So epileptic seizures, that was a huge thing at one point, and I mean, still is. But then, then you don't really have a lot of research about women and keto. And so how did you figure out the whole keto and alkaline combo?
Yeah, so that was that struggle time period. During that struggle time period, I was, again, as a functional medicine doc, part of my healing journey was getting alkaline, detoxing the first time, 38, helping me get through menopause, right? But everything I was doing no longer was working when I hit menopause again at 48. And so with all the additional life stressors, PTSD flaring. And so I wanted to understand, well, how come, why isn't this working? Let me just go back to checking my urinary pH when I'm trying this keto approach. And still it was a relatively healthy keto from my functional medicine standpoint and training. But my urine pH was below 5. And we know we want it 7 or higher. And I was like, whoa, okay, that was eye-opening for me. And I just started adding on the more greens, the good Portuguese kale soup, adding on lots of sauteed beet greens for all its antioxidant alkalinizing benefit, more of digestive support. So lemon, Bragg's apple cider vinegar, doubling, tripling up on my mighty maca till my urine pH started to shift. So then I started also other things that helped it shift, going for a long walk out in nature, doing those other, meditative or spiritual exercises as well. Those have a powerful effect on decreasing cortisol. And you can see that in your urinary pH. How cool, because your urine pH goes down when you're high stressed and goes up when you're not, when oxytocin is more in place. So I started checking that. And then I I said, get alkaline first. And this is what I tell everyone, get your urine pH consistently alkaline first. And then add in the keto, restrict the carbs more, increase your fats more, and watch how you feel. Get your body into ketosis with intermittent fasting and extend, no snacking. Use these Keto-Green principles. And that's when I dropped, 18 of the 20 pounds in 6 weeks that I had regained.
Wow.
And yes. And I felt this energized enlightenment. I call it energized enlightenment. I felt this higher spiritual connection, this clarity and that was like, okay, all of a sudden I'm looking at my kids and we're having loving conversations, and, it just emanated from there. And so it was transformational. And plus I'm like, I can't be the only one who's figured this out. So I started searching alkalinity and ketosis together. I found one article from 1920s that did a rat study looking at adding alkalinizers in a ketotic state and looking at those results. And I was like, aha, Right. So there's something here, but then it's not been studied since. I'm hoping that some universities will pick up studying it.
That's awesome. So we have questions coming in where people can get the book. Hormone Fix is already available on Amazon, but you can pre-order it because it's coming out. When is it coming out? March?
It's coming out February 26th.
February 26th. Okay. So it's just really around the corner.
It is.
But here's the thing, you guys, if you want to get bonuses from Dr. Anna, just go to the website, to the URL that Jean is going to post in a second. So look for Hormones Balance. There is a so because, pre-ordering is not a favorite activity. Most people like to get the book like in 2 days time, right? Instead of waiting how long? Today is the 15th. 10 days. Oh my goodness. 11 days you have to wait. So that's why typically authors will just create these special bonuses. And what do you have in bonuses, Dr. Anna?
Oh my gosh, we've got a list of things. So especially like some awesome recipe card downloads, some additional Keto-Green recipes to look at, and just a Keto-Green on the go, staying Keto-Green on the go. So there's a bunch of recipes and other downloads that are pretty awesome with our book bonus page. So wherever you buy the book, wherever books are sold, you want to come back to that page to put your receipt link in there to get these bonuses right away.
Go to Amazon, buy the book, and then go to Dr. Anna's page, enter the receipt number, and then you get the bonuses. So Now, I have a lot more questions for you regarding keto. And hey, you guys, whatever questions, I also would love to hear from you, your experiences. Like if you've done it and it worked for you, tell us. If it hasn't worked, tell us what hasn't worked, but also tell us a little bit more. How did you do the keto so we can get a little bit of more of an insight. I have a lot more questions for you regarding keto, but before we do that, I also want to say, in case for those of you who you know, I think we all consume content differently. Some people love to read. I'm more of a reader, and there's other people who want to watch a video, interact, you know, and listen. Right? You are more of a visual and auditory learner. Then head over. Dr. Anna has a 10-day masterclass that's going to walk you through on how to get keto. Specifically, it's called Breeze Through Menopause, correct?
Breeze Through Menopause, right.
Breeze Through Menopause. And it's got a very funny icon with this lady with a jacket open in front of a fan, and she's fanning herself. It looks like a flasher right in front of a fan. So it's a very funny graphic, but it really depicts of what's going on when you're going through. So if you're going through perimenopause, menopause, definitely the book can be super helpful. But the 10-day masterclass, it dives really specifically into perimenopause, menopause, which I feel like are such an underserved market, you know, even so much so that when I wanted to, remember once placed an ad on Facebook, which has got all these millions of people, and I want to target menopausal women, they did not even have a category for women in menopause. No category. Can you imagine? So this is like how much of an ignored market it is. So really classes like the 10-day masterclass is a really great one. Jeannie, if we can post the links to the masterclass, that would be really great. And you can do the things in tandem, you know, listening to a class and then getting the book. You can do both of them as well. For those of you who are joining us late, we are going to be giving away 3 of the Hormone Fix books once it comes out in 11 days. And we're also giving away Julva, which is the DHEA cream, and the Mighty Maca, which is a maca combo with a few other greens. It's highly alkalizing and a wonderful pick-me-up drink, especially in the afternoons. You want to show it?
Yeah.
Right. No, that's one of your babies. Apart from your 4 daughters, you also have these 2 children.
Yep. Big babies.
So let me just pop over and see what keto questions we're getting before I dive over to mine. Michelle is saying, I believe in keto, but I was told I can't do it because I have thyroid disease. When I tried it, I didn't lose weight and I didn't feel energized. Why? Let's go into that question, Dr. Anna.
So just the circumstances around it. So let me understand the question. So she tried a keto diet, but didn't lose weight and had no energy?
Correct. But also her doctor told her not to do it because she has thyroid disease.
Okay. So I have actually blogged on this topic too about keto and thyroid, right? There's the right way and the wrong way. Keto-Green. And this is something, because when I started hearing that, okay, what is it about keto and thyroid? Number one, the research articles that I've seen that addressed keto and thyroid were done in children that were on anti-seizure medication. So it doesn't apply to the perimenopausal woman. Once again, we need to look at the populations that are studied. And secondly, I looked at my population. When I heard this question come up, well, ketogenic is bad for women. I'm like, well, is my Keto-Green? You know, like, let me look. Well, first of all, I knew my thyroid improved. I went down, I reduced my thyroid supplementation to a fraction of what I was on, and even took over a 6-month holiday from all thyroid medication altogether. I looked at my patients' labs and I looked at my labs, and every one of my clients that have been following the Keto-Green had thyroid improvements, an improvement in free T3, an improvement in free T4. So the conversion from T4 to T3 appeared to improve, and TSH optimized. And the same with me. I looked at reverse T3. No problems, no issues, and thyroid function improved. So again, my Keto-Green is adding in those alkalizers, and I make my clients I recommend highly that my clients not just guess that they're getting enough greens in, that a handful of spinach is enough. I want them to test their urine too, because it's not just about the greens, it's about the cortisol. So that combination has a beneficial effect on the thyroid. So that's a great thing.
So I'm assuming also that depending on how Michelle did that diet, and this is not just Michelle, this is so many other women, the way women do keto is typically, like you said, it's just a handful of spinach. Does your Keto-Green have a lot of vegetables? Like what's the percentage of veggies? And give us an example of a meal that will be keto throughout the day, or like a set. Let's just talk about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Give us an idea of what would it look like? What would your day look like? And how much of greens is there throughout the day?
Yeah, I would actually refer to your farmer's wife's breakfast, like with the salmon steak on it, with all those greens, leafy greens and sprouts. I mean, that's a perfect one. That's an awesome. So we think like calorie wise, we don't really want to count calories. We want to look at the energy potential. But if we think calorie wise, we're getting over half in calories and fat. I mean, a tablespoon or quarter cup of olive oil is very highly caloric, right? That's a lot. So 60 to 75% of our calories may be in fat, 10% may be in carbs, and 20% may be in greens, something like that, plus or minus. But that percentage of carbs, that 10% of low carbohydrate, the carbs that we're using are low carbohydrate, and they're predominantly your dark leafy greens. And that should actually cover 75% of your plate. So you want to get enough in there, just like your farmer's breakfast, so you think like a perfect example is yesterday, I start with a Keto-Green smoothie. So for me, smoothies are easy in the morning because my daughter drinks them. We mix a smoothie and we can drink it and talk and on the way to school. So it's a quarter to a half an avocado. It will be a teaspoon of chia and flax seeds. It will have my Keto-Green protein shake, that's 0 grams of sugar, and a handful of nuts and whatever greens I have in the fridge. So I love to put broccoli sprouts in there because they're so nutritious. I'll put some baby kale, baby spinach, blend that up, and with water. Sometimes I'll use coconut milk. And that's our Keto-Green smoothie in the morning. And that's a huge, good breakfast, quick and easy to digest, easy and stable blood sugar for the next several hours. So that's breakfast. Lunch would again be, a handful of greens or sauteed. And beet greens are one of my favorite low carbohydrate alkalinizers that just really have made a big difference in my life. And I love to saute them with olive oil, just lightly, or coconut oil or ghee, and then just squirt lemon juice on it to take away the bitterness. Saute with some onions or some leeks. Just really, that's a great, powerful, nutritious add with whatever your protein is. So it could be a few ounces of shrimp. It could be a piece of organic chicken, something like that. Always, whenever you can, add sprouts and seeds and nuts, because a little bit goes a long way. They're nutrient dense and they're so good for our detoxification pathways. So, and dinner last night was farm raised, grass fed and finished beef, just sauteed. I put in poivre aromatique. I love to use spices, as you do, Magdalena. Can't wait for your spices to come out. So, poivre aromatique, some Himalayan salt, fresh cracked pepper. And I did put in sprouts in there because I'm always trying to get extra greens in wherever I can for me and my daughter. And so we sauteed that up and just served it on a bed of, I got this very quick and easy super green blend that was already, it's already washed in a canister. And it was funny because my daughter and her friend was over, and on the counter, I had my urine test strips, my pH test strips.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh my God, you got to test this. And Ava Marie was explaining to her friend what these test strips were. And she's like, come on, let's go to the bathroom. You got to pee on this. So they go into the bathroom, they pee on this, and they bring out their strips, right? And Ava and Marigona, they were like, maybe it's 6.5. Like, oh my gosh, Mom, not doing so good. And I'm like, okay, so I'll make you extra greens. And it was so funny. They ate all their greens last night.
That's one way to get your kids to eat greens, right?
Oh my gosh. They love it. They love to look at that.
I like that. Yeah. And the strips is something, it's just like, it's just, you can really see what is going on. I remember doing like these experiments on myself when I would drink like just a teaspoon of baking soda, right? Mm-hmm. And then just, measure half an hour later. And it's just like, I went like 8 within half an hour.
Yeah, you get that dark, rich blue. Uh-huh.
I like the recipe that you have in here as part of the meal plans as well. The pistachio white fish. It's
one
just
of my
so
favorite.
Simple, just making the crust with pistachios, and it's got a bit of garlic and oregano, pepper, salt, and olive oil. And pretty much that's it on top of a white fish. Just such a great, I'm a big fan of simple recipes. So who isn't actually, right? It's easy to complicate things. Let's take a look at what questions we are getting. And I have a question here for you in a second about who maybe keto might not be best for.
Yeah. And I address that in the book too. You know, we talk about the ApoE gene phenotype, right? And so there's controversy about that. Certainly, if you're diabetic, type 1 diabetic, you're on medication, you really want to do this under supervision. Can you still safely go Keto-Green? Yes, because always it's fat and fiber, right, that we're adding in. So that helps with blood sugar stabilization. That's really important key component. But the ApoE, it has sometimes trouble with fat digestion. So what I do with my clients that have been in my programs that have had ApoE phenotype, I add digestive enzyme support. And one of the, you know, to help support gallbladder enzymes, and that can make a big, you know, make a big difference. Even adding some extra milk thistle, that can help with digestion and help with some of the fat digestion as well. So look at that and watch your markers. You might see a peak initially, but then it'll go down. But again, what gets measured gets managed. So test.
It's funny, somebody's asking where to get the test strips from, and somebody's just responded by posting your link to your test strips. So we cover it there. So obviously people, my audience knows you too.
Oh, I love your audience too. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for supporting. So that's Jean who responded to that. Cool. So my question is, Jean, because I can only see like 4 comments at a time and then they disappear when we're doing live. Jean, if you could post also some of the good comments we are having so we can do a shout out for those comments, not just the questions. So the question I have for you is, what if you have somebody who has a genetic issue with just having a real problem digesting saturated fats, like all the coconuts, coconut oil, coconut milk, and truly puts on weight with saturated fats?
You got to look at it. So when I have a client that's really struggling, like even with the Keto-Green component, because, you know, digestion's key, make sure we've got digestive enzymes on board. And in one of your recent articles, we talked about this, the liver LVGB complex from Designs for Health is one of my favorite, especially if you have gallbladder issues or trouble digesting fats. That's fabulous. The other thing is sometimes we're using too much. Like you know, a good standard, if other people have tried Weight Watchers points, I mean, fruit's not free points, right? We have to understand that. But to look and kind of quantify, 1 tablespoon of MCT oil is 7 points. If you're allowed 30 for the day, you've just taken up, you know, a third percentage of your day. So you have to think in proportion to what you're eating, like how much. Sometimes I love to pile on the olive oil. Like I don't, you know, I mean, even sauteing meat in healthy fats, my salad last night, pure olive oil, right? Squeeze the lemon juice. So that just, the lemon juice helps with digestion. Adding additional digestive aids. So bitters, bitter melons, you know, just you can quickly grill some bitter melon, put some salt, you know, douse it in a little bit oil, chew on that for digestion. Ginger is good for digestion. So
I'm also a big fan of any digestive bitters. So doing bitters before your meal, right? That just also stimulates enzymatic production.
What are some of your favorite bitters? Because I'm limited to those 2. Those are the only 2 I really know.
Well, you know, I'm thinking of making my own, but in the meantime, I get them from Summer Bach.
Yes. Okay.
So that's one that I really love. And, you know, and because I love to support, you know, people who do really good work. And then, you know, sometimes I also get it from a herb farm, where you can get them everywhere, and they have those sweet bitters. I just have it actually right on there on the table because I carry them. I have like 3-4 bottles at any time. So it's like, I never forget, one in the kitchen, one in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the, my wallet, right. And one in the car. So like always covered.
Good policy.
Question from, let me take a look. Who's that asking? Anne Boudreau is asking, can you do keto on and off? That's a really good question.
Yeah, I think
it's. Give you an example, right? Like, you know, you off traveling somewhere, you know that food selection is going to be a problem, right? Or you going on a family vacation when you know saying keto is going to be really hard. Can you do it on and off?
Yeah, of course. Of course. The metabolic flexibility, we can go in and out, but continue the principles, you know? So maybe, so you, again, a lot of people are doing keto, but never checking to see if they're in ketosis, right? So they're off. I guarantee you, if you're not checking, you're guessing, and you're probably not in ketosis. I do urinary ketone testing because I'm never, rarely on it that I don't see ketones in my urine. So that's the controversy. Blood ketone testing is absolutely the gold standard, but urine ketone testing, if you haven't been in ketosis for, I don't know, we've had clients who have been in 2 months or more and still can check the urinary ketones. So we don't see that loss of acetaldehyde, which is what we measure with the urine test strips. So that ketone. So yes, you can. And, and that helps with metabolic flexibility. And just like, don't do the same exercise every day. So want to switch things up. But again, really important that we're doing it correctly. We're getting, the healthy fats, we're getting the fiber in, we're getting the greens, we're checking our urinary pH for alkalinity. Those key factors can make a big difference, adding those points.
That's great. We have another good question, and that is, sharing actually, Trudy Richardson saying, oh my, you two ladies together. Love you both. Thank you, Trudy. Need to order some more Mighty Maca. Really like to get, don't really like eating breakfast. So usually wait until lunch. Yes, that's intermittent fasting. And then she says, I just seem to be having trouble getting alkaline. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this?
Then you need to break, I think you need to support your liver. You support the detoxification. So first thing in the morning, do 2 scoops of Mighty Maca right away with some apple cider vinegar, a squirt of lemon juice, some water, and shoot that down and work to get alkaline. And go through in my book, I say why you may not be getting alkaline. So refer back to those chapters in the book. What else besides diet is, could be interfering with me getting alkaline? So have you been outside? Have you watched the sunrise? Have you watched the sunset? I have a whole chapter going through that. And those are important things that improve the quality of our life, right?
Yeah. And let's not forget that stress can be super acidifying. So can alcohol, and bad news, coffee.
I know. It is bad news, Magdalena.
Is coffee allowed on your green keto?
It is absolutely allowed. But again, if you're getting acidic and if you're having trouble getting alkaline, switch to an herbal tea, switch to something. And I will share with you, Magdalena, that during my book launch, I am on teas because I was being, my adrenals were being pushed too hard with my coffee. And I would have 1, 2, 3 cups, usually fine, demi-tasse, right? A small cup. But I was feeling that I was getting more stressed and not centered and peaceful and zen as I like to be. So I just switched to tea, and I'm about to hide my coffee maker because I like a decaf in the evening. I'm about to hide it. Got to have that extra help, right?
Would you say, because I don't know the answer to this, is decaf alkalizing or is it acidifying?
It's still acidifying.
It is. Still acidifying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sadly. All you decaf lovers, bad news all around.
Bad news. That's right. Dial in every other factor.
Loyan Lard is asking, are eggs okay to eat? Love this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. From free range, organic chicken. Yes. Eggs are fine to eat.
And I will say, I find when I was in private practice and back in the day, I found and this is total anecdotal, just from my experience, that about half of the women I worked with had a problem with eggs. So I would say eggs are okay on Dr. Anna's Keto-Green diet, but not if you are struggling with eggs. That's
food sensitivities.
Then you're gonna stay away from eggs. And unfortunately, I'm one of them who has a problem with eggs, and I'm okay now, but I can only do them like 2 times a week at the most.
And that's plenty. Twice a week is plenty. So we have to think, okay, what are we doing every day? And then if we are sensitive, because you'll tell, because you'll be saying, I'm doing everything right, but what's interfering with me getting an alkaline urinary pH? What could be stressing out my body? Yeah. And food sensitivities create inflammation, and that stresses out our body.
That's a really good point as well. Yeah. Yes. So we have a really good question here as well from Angela Clark, who's asking, how do you know you're in ketosis?
Well, one thing is that you need to check, because you can't just guess. So that fat burning stays. So you can check your urinary ketones or blood ketones. There's also a breath ketone test that you can also do. Those tend to be more expensive. So I use the blood testing in between, like if I'm questioning, how high are my urinary ketones right now? How much have I been pushing ketosis versus not? And do the urinary pH and ketone strips on a regular basis, especially when I'm like, okay, I've been off. I haven't been checking. Let me start checking again, and checking a couple, 2, 3, 4 times during the day really helps see what's happening all throughout your day.
Yeah, that's a great tool to use. We have a good question from Britta. I think it's Kuster. Hi, these are all great facts. Can't wait for the book. What is the difference, she's asking, between Magdalena's anti-Candida diet and Keto-Green? I already omit all grains and a lot of other carbs. So I would just, I will answer that, since you may not know what's in my anti-Candida diet. They're really very similar, because the bottom line is that we are avoiding sugar, because anything sugary and overly, anything that contains huge amounts of sugar is going to throw you out of ketosis, right? So the only difference I would say is that Dr. Anna's approach is more to bring you to a place of ketosis, where I don't focus on that. It's just more about really elimination of sugar. If you want to try the Keto-Green, I would highly recommend it, and combine it with the herbal protocol that you have with the Candida protocol that help with the different herbals. If you got the special bonus thing that we have, the RX as well, how to deal with, if you can get your doctor on board to get some of the antifungals as a prescription, that's a really good way of combining those two together. So that's one way you could go about it.
Yeah. And let's talk about that, because that's something that, in my programs, we talk about. If you have Candida or want to lose weight, we really restrict carbs, right? Yeah. So in that way, but we know only if we're testing that we're getting into ketosis. So with my Keto-Green, there's intermittent fasting, no snacking. We're really staying low on the carbs, but really up those alkalinizers. In my medical practice, treating women with Candida, and often who have had breast cancer or something, for so long, thyroid disease, heavy metal toxicity, often saw Candida play in. You really have to support your detox. So additional detoxification support, herbs for detoxification, and, prescriptions for antifungals. I used to write diflucan, nystatin, take them concomitantly, and let's just really aggressively attack Candida from many different ways, because it plays havoc. It's a nasty bug.
It does. And, you guys, stay also tuned. I'm going to be talking about castor oil packs and how it helps to dissolve the Candida biofilm, which is where Candida really likes to go and hide there and hibernate. And so my dear friend, Dr. Marisol, has got that coming out. We were supposed to introduce, I know many of you have been asking us about it. We were supposed to introduce the product in March, and unfortunately there was a accident in the factory, and there was actually an explosion in the factory. And so they've lost a lot of stock. Yeah. And, I think a lot of people don't realize what it takes to put out a product. Like, it's like, oh, it's this really nice bottle of whatever. There's a lot of work that goes to the back end that as consumers, we are not aware. I have a lot more appreciation now that I do this kind of work. So anyway, they lost the stock. And so we are only going to be introducing the product in May. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, just doing castor oil packs in your tummy, put an old towel around it, wrap yourself up, go to sleep with it. Really amazing results. I highly recommend that in conjunction. So we can only take a couple of more questions, because we will need to wrap up. I've got a super packed day today. I need to get ready for another call quickly.
Let's give out a book.
What's that?
Let's give out a book.
Let's give out a book. Okay. Jean, do you want to pick someone? Just pick up the first 3 people that we want to give the book away to, and just post it. And I'll read out the names. So Leslie Ann is asking, a thyroid med's going to be interfering with keto?
No, thyroid meds will not, no.
Okay. We have questions about sweeteners. Sorry, just finish your sentence, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, but make sure you're watching your thyroid lab. So every 3 to 6 months that you're rechecking, just as you're shifting things, that you're looking at that.
Michelle is asking, what protein powder do you recommend that it has got 0 sugar? Most have stevia. Is stevia okay?
I use our Keto-Green. This is new, hot off the presses. My Keto Alkaline Protein Shake and my Keto-Green Protein Shake, 0 gram sugar for those Weight Watchers people, 2 Weight Watchers points, but 14 grams of protein, and there's MCT oil in here, as well as monk fruit sweetened. So, and stevia, a little bit of stevia is fine. There's some stevia, a little bit of stevia in Mighty Maca as well. So a little bit goes a long way. So, and xylitol, which is slightly antifungal, monk fruit, xylitol, stevia, those are my current 3 favorites. Otherwise,
okay, so are you using xylitol in your Keto-Green powder?
Monk fruit sweetener. No.
Only monk fruit. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
I have to say, I have to commend you for making that choice, because monk fruit on its own is an expensive product.
It is expensive.
That's the reason why a lot of people, you know, market that as being monk fruit, and you actually look at the ingredients, and the first ingredient is xylitol, and so, or urethral. And so, you know, so it's not a clean product at all. A lot of people with IBS problems are reacting to those alcohol sugars. And so that's something to consider. So wow, that must have been a pretty big decision to use only monk fruit. And for those of you who are not familiar, monk fruit is actually my favorite sweetener, because I personally don't like stevia. I think it tastes awful. I typically, you would use a tiny bit of stevia with something else so that it kind of hides the taste and the aftertaste. But monk fruit doesn't have that. And so that's what makes it, but it's an expensive product because it comes from a fruit. It's not sugar. So same as stevia, it's a plant that just acts on the same receptors on the tongue, making you feel like you're getting a sweetness, but actually there is no carbohydrates in it whatsoever. That's why you can go into ketosis while having a seemingly sweet drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and other things that really help to kind of naturally bring the sweet in, it's cinnamon, it's a drop of vanilla extract, you know, things like if you're, you know, having a hot tea and you feel like you want a sweetener, maybe just a drop of vanilla organic vanilla extract, or, you know, mixing in some cinnamon or cardamom.
Cinnamon, yeah, cinnamon is naturally sweet. All right, ladies, we've got 3 people we're going to be giving the book away to: Trudy Richardson, Angela Clack, and Britta Kuster. If you ladies could please email support@hormonesbalance.com with your full mailing address, and that way we'll pass it on to Dr. Anna's team, and you will make sure you get the book when it comes out.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, and thank you for your
questions.
Back and give
me, and then come back and rate it on Amazon, and yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm excited to see you in New York next week. We're going to be at the Health Symposium. So we're going to hang out in person, and I can't wait to give you a good hug.
I can't wait too. And we're going to go see a good Broadway play while we're there together and hang out. And we have these 2 gems to give away. So
yes,
I'm excited to do that too. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Yep.
One of each. So Jean, why don't we do this? Jean, why don't we pick somebody on Sunday? So let's give people the weekend to watch the replay, and then we'll still have the maca and the julva to give away for good questions. Dr. Anna, would you have the time on Sunday to perhaps pop over and see if there's any questions we haven't answered yet?
Absolutely, I'm happy to.
Because we have more viewers after the show than the actual live transmission, so there's going to be some questions bound to come in. And then based on your questions, how good they are, we're going to give away the julva and the mighty maca. All right, everyone, have a lovely weekend. Don't forget to go and get the book. Order it on Amazon or whatever store you like, and enter the receipt number to Dr. Anna's URL, which Jean has posted earlier, to get all the lovely bonuses, and or do the 10-day masterclass. That's really a great way of just getting engaged if you are more of an auditory or a visual learner with Dr. Anna. This is really specifically on perimenopause and menopause, which there aren't really many programs that talk about that. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Really,
it's been a pleasure.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next Friday.